The 64 Audio Volür. This was me a few months ago. This is a loan from Mark from Superreviews. This is his personal unit, and I wanted to thank him for the opportunity of letting me borrow this. First of all, I must say this is a really fantastic product. I've really enjoyed my time being able to test and listen to this device, and it is by far my favorite 64 audio product that I've ever tried, and I think it's one of the finest IEMs out there. I think maybe there are a lot of issues to this IEM, and I don't think it's perfect, but I think there are a lot of strengths and things to be admired about this beautiful piece of art. And as I think it represents a great deal of technology and is an amazing IEM in its own right. This IEM has two true isobaric dynamic drivers and 8 drivers. Usually I think drivers are mean, but in this case I really feel the dynamic drivers are doing something really good in this IEM. It also has the TIA driver, which is their special tuned BA driver. It's not to my liking, but I do think this is very strong upper treble, and I really do like the sound of this IEM. Do the drivers matter? I think they can, and in this case they do add more failure points, but it does represent a great tune and a great sound overall. And in this regards, I think these are very high quality drivers, and this is a very good sounding IEM, and there's a lot of great things going on here with this product. The fit and comfort of this IEM is fantastic. It is extremely ergonomic. I love the design of it as well. Is the design itself worth the price? I think not, but I think this is built to last. I think the metal shells are very strong and durable, and that's an important thing to remember, that it's not just gonna break. Personally, I find the purple a really nice shade and color. I wish that all of 64 Audio's IEMs had a more unique faceplate. I feel like it's not that expensive thing to do. Like when you look at IEMs like the Pula PA02 that has a really beautiful faceplate for a really cheap price. I don't think it's really a price concern, maybe a manufacturing concern, maybe a consistency concern for them. But this is something that I wish, say, the U4S and some of the other IEMs that they make all had a unique faceplate, and this is something that is very beautiful and very remarkable. The fit and comfort of this IEM is excellent. I love the design of their 64 Audio IEMs, and despite this having a great deal of drivers, I feel like this is the exact same size as their U4S. At least it feels that way in my ear and from what I could tell looking at the two of them. I feel they do get a lot of things right with this. I found that their nozzles fit tips very well. I think, just talking about ear tips on these, I didn't really find a problem using my normal ear tips on this, and I think their nozzles coming up to their ear tips is just really nice. One of the best things about this IEM is not only its metallic build, but it also has a top 2-pin connecting system that is best in class. A lot of IEMs have what you call a recessed 2-pin, and the problem with that is that they almost rely on a certain 2-pin connection to fit it perfectly, or else it slips out. And so with this connection, I found that I could cable swap to different cables very, very easily. The top connection is very nice, and this is a new proprietary connection that 64 Audio is doing. I think that's something really important to remember, and that's a really nice feature of this IEM. I wish that all IEMs had a similar build quality to this, and the fact that the way that it fits in my ear, it fits so nicely. It also has, like I said, the connection of how it can fit any 2-pin cable that you need it to. Even it fits some other cables that you might want it to. Just gives it a great deal of versatility, and it's something that's very remarkable for what they've done. Again, this is a fantastic design, and I wish more people would either copy this or use something similar to this because it's such a strong quality. All right, I wanted to take and explain a few things about some of the modules and just kind of my experience with them. One thing to note, There are multiple modules, and to get them all is around $400, give or take. So it is a lot of money. To me, I feel like it is like paying for tuning switches, something you really don't need. I would prefer that the Volür would just have a stock tuning and be cheaper and not have to deal with the modules personally. This module pack only includes 3 modules, although I really think some of the modules could be completely ignored by most people. There is a solid plug, the M26 module. I can imagine that this would give you a little bit better isolation and also give you a little bit better bass response, but I don't think it would make a huge impact, and we'll talk about that when we look at the differences between the M15 and the M20 module here in a bit. Again, I'm not sure why you'd want this unless you are in a live concert style situation, or it's just something that you kind of want to check out. I mean, it is kind of unique being orange, so I could see it being something unique to try, kind of like a toy to get with your new IEM, but personally, I don't see the appeal. I haven't heard any other reviewers talk about it in my research, so that's a good question. So the module I did have included the other modules, the M20, the MX module, the M15, and the M12. We will talk more about these modules as we go, but note that most of these modules are about 100. My personal take is that you can completely ignore the MX Apex module if you happen to be buying these, but some people might really enjoy the M12 module. You might really like the M15 module, which I personally like, or even the M20. I could see people liking any of those 3, but I haven't really found anyone who really loves the MX module. But again, maybe you're sensitive to bass, or you really want just less isolation, almost making this almost like an open back style IEM. I did even try this with a empty module, which you can do, but I fully 100% do not recommend that, and that is not something you should ever try. Let's do some music track impressions. This is from Yelesa Hall. This is Second Colon. It has a deep rumbly bass, and the Volür knocks this out of the park. It makes you feel like you're in the room like speakers, and I just tested this with my speakers, and it's just fantastic what the Volür can do on this track. Now, there are other tracks that it doesn't sound perfect on. When there's really strong instrumentals and vocals and they kind of come together, it sometimes seems weak and unaffected, and it just, like, the instrumentals will drown out the vocals, and it just kind of doesn't work exactly how I would want it to. This is an example of this. This is standing outside a broken phone booth. Let's give it a listen. On certain genres, like it feels like EDM and kind of techno style music, the vocals really do pop. It seems like when on the really good recorded music, the Volür shines. It's almost like it was designed for musicians, for people on stage, and I could see how people who love more modern music would just absolutely love this IEM, all that music. Let's take a listen to this track. All right, let's talk some graphs. First of all, the Volür has different modules, so let's put them all up there real quick. So now that we have all these up here, you'll notice that they pretty much graph identically, except right around, say, 200 to 300, they start to deviate and become a little bit different. The M20 has slightly more bass than the M15. I found I like the M15 just a tiny bit better, but is about the same. And then you have the M12, which is a little bit leaner, which a lot of people actually do prefer the M12. And then down here in the yellow, we have the MX, and the MX is, like, to me, is just super flat, and I guess some people like that. And then the Volür Empty is actually without a module in at all, so that's kind of interesting to note. So since I did most of my testing on the M15, I'm going to remove all those and then use that to talk about a few other graphs. The first one I want to talk about is the U4S, which is something I actually reviewed on this channel, and for some reason with that one I like the M12s, but this one I like the M15s. You can notice they do have a very similar base, these two. Like, even if we wanted to put in here, you know, the 64 with the M12s, just to have a little bit more even playing grounds. They do have similar level base, but the U4S is, like with the M12s, it seemed to have more base. And then so the M15 was really right about where the U4S M12 was for me. And so you notice that those, you know, my preferences, and this is just me kind of doing it by ear, deciding, and that's for me what it is. So my recommended module for the Volür is the M15, but strangely enough, the U4S may not come with the M12 module. So you might have to buy that separately for $100, or if you buy it used, they're going somewhere around $700 to $750 if that's what you're looking for. But if you look, these graphs are really pretty similar. There's a lot going on here. The bass quality of the M15s is a lot better. The tone and timbre is really close of these two. They have different characteristics for sure. But you notice, the one thing you'll notice about these is they do have this peaky kind of treble at 2K and 4K. And that's something to note. So let's look at a few other graphs. Let's look at the Annihilator. And so when you look at, say, the Annihilator, you'll notice that the Annihilator has a lot more energy around 3K. And like, at first it doesn't look like much, but you notice it's almost like the anti of that. And so these are like almost polar opposites. And why I bring that up is I think they both complement each other in a unique way. Whereas the Elysian Annihilator has, I think, a lot more better vocals, but the Volür has better bass texturing and certain qualities and characteristics about it that feel a little bit stronger, or at least to my ears. Again, these are both very high-end, very nice IEMs, very resolute, and they sound really, really good. And I could see anybody liking either of these IEMs as their end game. But it's something very interesting to note that they are extremely different IEMs, despite being pretty similar bass qualities, but the texturing and the bass of the Volür is much, much better. And so that's kind of something that I wanted to show. Let's look at the Monarch Mark III. As the Monarch Mark III has a lot more bass, and again has a little bit more energy up here past up to 3K, and so vocals sound a little bit more strong. This is a little bit more of a U-shaped of the MK3 rather than a little bit more like kind of a bassy sound signature of the Volür. So it's a little bit less flat, a little bit more U-shaped. But I think, you know, some people might prefer the MK3 over the Volür, and I think they're both really good IEMs, but the Volür does have a lot of great qualities and characteristics that make it, for me, just fantastic. An easy recommend despite its price. This IEM is extremely expensive, and it has been an absolute treasure to be able to review this IEM, and I really like it. I think the build quality is something that I've never really felt before, and I think it's something really remarkable. Its faceplate is fantastic, and I think this is the kind of IEM that is going to last for the next 10 to 15 years. I feel like a lot of our resin-based IEMs might not last as long, and that is a little bit of a concern for them. But I think the build quality and longevity of this, and in the build quality texture, they have really set the standard. Not only in that, but in bass texturing. I think this isobaric bass is the true, real deal, and it's absolutely fantastic and the best bass that I've ever had. Do I think this is the best IEM that I've ever had or ever listened to? I do not. I think there's a case for a lot of other different IEMs depending on what you need. While the bass of this IEM is fantastic, it does lack some vocal texturing. I do not like the upper end kind of treble spikes a little bit. I think that this is a fantastic IEM, and it is something to really cherish and love. And I do think this is endgame for most people, especially those that want to listen to hip hop or rap or anything that's modern and well done. But with classical music and some certain vocal tracks, this IEM does not come across perfect. Personally, I would prefer an IEM that's cheaper. I think the price on this is prohibitive to a lot of people. I think if 64 Audio could find a way to maybe just do a stock M12 tuning without all their Apex modules, maybe do a price of this, say around, $600 or something like that, maybe even get a company overseas to make it or something to that effect, I think this would be the way. So suffice it to say, I do think the quality and what they've done here with the bass drivers and the overall tuning of this IEM is very exceptional. It's not just good, it's amazing. And again, I feel that the bass quality is something really to be had. I really like the ability to be able to cable swap. I'm not a huge fan of the Apex modules, but I think the faceplate is remarkable. It is very beautiful. So as far as the overall rating, I'm going to give this a 5-star rating. I do think this is a good IEM. I do see how people might want to have this on their desk and enjoy it. Again, this is a fantastic IEM, and I fully recommend it to people who can't afford it. But it's not perfect, and it's not my favorite IEM that I've ever listened to, but it's very good. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?